You are listening to the Money Hour at 11:50 a.m. KKNW, the Saturday, December 11th show. I am your host and local mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell. I bring into studio each week the best of the best experts in our local market on everything regarding your money. And now in studio, Tawny Sanabria of Integrated Growth LLC, Connection Through Presence, right here on 11:50 a.m. KKNW. So Tawny, excited to have a conversation with you today as we chatted a little bit in the panel conversation that I had with you and Sherry, is what you're doing, more your service that you offer is needed more than ever right now because of everything that's happening in our world, correct?
Yes. And I don't need to even tell anybody about that, right? We all know from our own experiences and family experiences and coworker experiences what we're all dealing with right now. So it's great to be able to be just connecting with folks and being able to help them get through this in a way that maybe, creates some strength and resiliency.
Yes. Yeah. Now, how long have you been in your line of work, Tawny?
Yeah, so I've been a marriage and family therapist for over 20 years, and I became a yoga instructor for a bit. That's where I kind of learned a little bit more about the body. And then I added a certified human potential coach about 3.5, maybe 4 years ago. And that's also where I really dove into presence-based work. Connecting with folks from a place of being in the body with each other. I know it kind of might sound weird, as opposed from a
Sounds
head.
beautiful.
Yeah. Well, it feels great, right? Because it is. But I really wanted to expand and work with folks, both that are experiencing some clinical issues. And also folks who wanted to just optimize or really increase maybe the quality of their relationships or their communication or their performance at work or just their health.
Yeah. Tawny, can you share your philosophy?
Yeah. So we are humans. and a human
It can be good and bad.
Right. That's the thing, right? Like human experience does involve struggle. Mm-hmm. in a lot of different ways. It doesn't make it right. It just involves it. And there's things we can control and things we can't control in our lives, right? The more that we have some idea or awareness around what we actually can control and what we can't, and we can start to let go of what we can't and start to give more energy or focus or attention or connection to what we can, we're going to get more out of ourselves, perhaps. We're going to stay in a renewed and recharged state. We're going to be better able to connect with others. So when people bring situations or experiences to me, they're just human experiences. We don't necessarily need to make it bad. We don't necessarily even need to make it a problem. Because the minute we do that, then we have to go up into our head to solve it. And the reality is it just may not be solvable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So, not solvable. You have to sit on that for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Getting into a present moment, centering and grounding into our body as opposed to trying to solve a problem, brings us right here, right now. Our sensory system is turned on. We can get into our body in a way to create some safety or some calm, getting out of the fight or flight system or getting out of the freeze system. We have chronically been, most of us have chronically been in a fight or flight.
Sure.
For the last 18 to, if not longer, right? And stress is the new smoking. One of my doctor friends told me, right? So we want to dial down that stress, and there's ways to do it, just for our overall health and relationships.
Yeah. And then you could really level it up and you can help with your clients in learning how to turn that stress into positive adrenaline, because really isn't that, what it is we can turn anything that traditionally or most can look at as a negative, that's a positive, because we can be our best selves and do our best work when you have that pressure. And that's what stress is known for. And you can really turn it into adrenaline to use that fight in a way that is going to serve you at a high level, correct?
If it's not chronic and you're exhausted and depleted, right? Because in
Okay.
in a chronic stressed state, that's part of the trouble. If it were that easy, I wouldn't have a job.
Okay.
Part of the trouble is if we're in a chronic stressed or exhausted state, we don't have the reserves. We don't know how to recharge. We don't know how to renew. And just we can't really shift just from a thinking space.
Yes. Okay.
That's what I help my clients do.
You're helping them to be able to accomplish that. Got it. So, Tawny, what is who are your ideal clients?
Yes. So my ideal clients are those folks that put a lot of pressure on themselves. They want to do I'm going to do in quotes, the right thing, because there's a story behind the right thing.
Of course.
And who then have some experiences of second guessing themselves, right? Like, so this can be in the context of a relationship. So this can be one partner in a coupled relationship. This can be a parent who's, raising a child and trying to do the best or the perfect parenting type of thing. This can be a person who does a lot of people pleasing as a coping strategy, just people like me, then I'll be okay. Right. So I'll do all the things to make sure that people like me, and then I'll be fine. And it could be a person who is struggling at work, needing to maybe get more creative, actually, or more curious, rather than trying to do just the right thing and putting a lot of pressure.
Yeah, love the word curious. I think if we can go with a curious spirit, it really helps to navigate through a lot of things, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Keeps us open.
Exactly. So, Tawny, let's talk about presence and why it's so important.
Yes. So a present state, like I said before, isn't a head space. It allows us to get into a different dimension of ourselves. More, maybe we call it intuition sometimes, but it's not only that. Maybe we call it heart space, but it's not only that. It's actually an integrated sense of ourselves where we've got intuition turned on, we're connected with it. We've got heart space turned on, we're connected with it, and head space to be the thinker of what our momentary reality is, if we need to think about it at all. We like to think about belly space or intuition as sort of like our psychological core. Like, this is where we connect with ourselves. We get grounded, we create safety in the body. We know we can experience discomfort or unpleasantness and we can be okay. We don't have to run away from it. And then heart space is connecting with other people. So that's sort of like external stuff. It doesn't even have to be people. It could be animals. It could be nature. It could be sun. It could be any of those externals where we feel connected and energized there. So a present state actually allows us to be our full self. And that's really important if we want to navigate through this uncertainty and change and loss and struggle, those emotions that fit under struggle.
Yeah. So pay attention to what your body's telling you in the space that you're in. And then you need the tools to know how to release if it's a space that's not serving you, and how to really embrace so that you can level up in a space that's serving you well. So you talk about unhelpful past and future stories. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. So anytime we're in a past story, a past experience, or a future story, we are not present. So that's one thing to just kind of like, okay, we can't be present and be in those spaces at the same time. The past stories oftentimes are generated from coping mechanisms that we learned as kids. Sort of as we were trying to figure out the world, we've got our stories around what worked, what didn't, how we survived, how we got through the trauma of childhood. We all have experiences. And did we withdraw? Did we, try harder? Did we lash out? Did we, criticize ourselves? Did we act out in risky behaviors and things like that? So we learned how to survive in childhood. When we bring those into present moment to cope with life as an adult, it wreaks havoc. It no longer works as an adult.
Yeah.
So being there in the past is going to be your past self. You will not be able to experience your potential here in the moment, and it will cause all sorts of like the negative in quotes feelings. And then that future, we just get ourselves all riled up and anxious. We want to know what's going to happen. We can't possibly know what's going to happen, right? So we're riling ourselves up. And I'm seeing a lot of increased anxiety just because of that process, not let alone what's actually happening.
Yeah. Yesterday's mystery, yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery, today's a gift. And that's why they call it the present. All right. In a couple minutes left here. What are you hear clients are saying about you and how you're helping them?
Yeah, well, what I hear from my clients is that they are experiencing better connection with people that are important to them in their lives, whether it's family members or friends or coworkers. They're better able to communicate how they're feeling right now in the moment. They avoid less. They blame themselves less. There's a lot less guilt in their lives. They sleep better. They eat. They're not emotionally eating as much, if at all. And they're just generally feeling like they have some power in their lives to withstand or deal with whatever struggle might come into play. And they start to trust themselves a little bit more.
Yeah. Okay. And the services you offer, Tawny?
So I offer human potential coaching. That's kind of a one-on-one. Breath meditation, breath work. You find that a lot of people are out of sync with their breath, and that's going to make it really difficult for them to get into their bodies. So we'll do that. Parent coaching, certainly relationship coaching and counseling, and workplace presence workshops.
Yeah. So much that you're offering our community, Tawny, and just excited to be able to showcase your business, and hopefully be able to support some of our listeners with your line of work. And Tawny's not in the physical office. We talked about that. So you can meet with her virtually or on the phone. Tawny, what's the best number to reach you at?
Best number is 253-261-3789.